We've got a lot of things to talk about on the Goggler podcast. We're going to be reviewing Pizza Movie on Disney Plus. We're going to be talking about the new Maul animated series Shadow Lord, as well as season 3 of Apple TV's Shrinking. But before we get into that, Bahi and I have had a bee in our bonnet about TV shows in the modern era. And this was reinforced as I was doing my bi-yearly rewatch of The West Wing. My wife has never seen The West Wing, and so we sat down and we went through seasons 1 through 7. And the thing that struck me most was this was a network TV show back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it has some of the best lighting and production quality that I have seen. It doesn't cost half as much as what is being done on HBO and Netflix these days. And yet, there was a cinematic quality to these seasons of The West Wing, each one 24 episodes long. And it was just incredibly well lit. There was this thing called atmosphere that we almost never get in modern TV. And it's wild.
It is wild. I mean, just the pilot of The West Wing, if I'm not mistaken, opens at the bar, right? With
Sam is having a conversation with a journalist.
I haven't put on The West Wing in a while, but I remember every time I do, and I do it like every 18 months or 24 months, and I'm always surprised at how dark that first episode is. And not in like a tone, not in like a mood. It's a swanky bar, but swanky bars can be dark. And it's not underlit, it's stylized darkness, right? The shadows are there. The bartender's in shadow because he's unimportant. What's important is Rob Lowe, who's front and center in your shot. And it's so just designed lighting. It's beautiful. I always forget.
They weren't afraid of the darkness. Like, you watch shows in the modern era and everything is so well lit to a fault. There are moments in The West Wing where the lighting carries all the emotional weight. Like, no words are spoken, and yet there can be a shadowy shot of Leo and Jed, and you know it's important. But more importantly, they weren't afraid of the dark. They happened to be in dingy rooms, in closed-off quarters within the West Wing where there are no windows. And that is how that room would be lit. That is how it would look. I think when I texted you about this, you said something very important and very interesting. No matter which episode it is, no matter where it's set, you can always tell whether it's daytime or nighttime without anyone pointing it out to you. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. And then after that, as I was watching more episodes, I was like, oh shit.
You can't not think about it, right? And you know what it is? It's production design. And I don't just mean production design in terms of the set and the setting and the location. I also mean production design in the way it's shot. Because I think it was season 3 when they have to start doing meetings in the basement. There's a nondescript basement room that they use for secret clandestine meetings. You can always tell, even in those basement meetings, you can always tell if it's a morning meeting before they start their day or if it's a late night meeting at the end of their day.
Yes.
You try and rewatch those episodes. You can tell because there's either a blue or an orange. It's like a haze. It's like a morning mist.
It's also the use of lamps. It's when lamps are on and when they're off. It's crazy.
So I remember hearing an interview with John Wells, and they would talk about how when they designed the walk and talk, they don't design it like a studio, right? Because when you're in an office, you walk in and out of shafts of light because there's a spotlight here, there might be a fluorescent light there might be a lamp over here. So when the West Wing does their walk and talks, there's never a bulb of light just casting perfect flat light on the characters who are talking. They're walking in and out of shafts of light. There's a window that they cross by that will throw up a bit of warm afternoon light or whatever. And I love that. I love that, like you said, they're not afraid of the darkness. Just because an actor is delivering his line when he's standing not in the perfect light doesn't mean the line is bad.
All of this has come to light, pun intended, with the trailer for the live action Moana, where you were talking about how everyone looked like they were backlit. And that seems to be an artistic choice, if you will, but it looks awkward, and to our human brain, it feels awkward as well. And then on the other hand, you have the genius that is Greg Fraser, who's doing Project Hail Mary and using natural light for everything so that it feels real. And subconsciously, as we are watching the movie, we realize it. We may not be able to explain it intellectually, but there is a subconscious Neanderthal human reaction because we have for generations experienced light in a certain way, that we react to this in a certain way as well. And all of that is very, very fascinating. But I find that in the age of streaming, in the age of these templates of television, that the vast majority of things feel flat and boring. I mean, that's why a show like Imperfect Women on Apple TV, it's not the best show ever. It's really entertaining, but it's not anything revolutionary. But the way it's shot, I really enjoyed because it had a look, it had a style. LA looked different. It didn't just look like flat, boring palm trees, summer sun LA, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
There's an accepted and expected look to certain things. You know, Abbott Elementary is going to look the way it does because it's a sitcom, right? Abbott Elementary, The Office, Parks and Rec. We're talking about The Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, Friends. There's a look. And that's fine when you're doing a half-hour sitcom. But I think when you're doing something special, when you're doing something like a 45-minute drama, like Paradise, the current show on Disney Plus, that can look a bit flat, I feel. It doesn't reach the levels of something like The West Wing, 22 episodes, network TV from all of 20 years ago. Something like X-Files, again, 22 episodes, more than 20 years ago, and they're not afraid to play in the shadows. The one thing we keep talking about, Netflix's Sex Education, a show set in Wales, but everything's so fucking sunny. It's like they shot on the 4 days they had sun in Wales or something. They're so afraid of shadow and dark and not even mood, but color, that they just want everything to be bright and sunny and let's go.
You can watch X-Files on Disney Plus, and I encourage you to go and check out those episodes. It's so beautiful. You know what contemporary show did that well? Evil.
Oh, Evil did it great. Yeah, you're right.
Evil by the Kings, who did The Good Wife. It was on Paramount Plus in the US, but it was also showing on Astro over here. That show was not afraid of the darkness, and it worked because it was supposed to be horror.
Yes, but like my point is that it doesn't have to be horror to not be afraid of the darkness.
Exactly.
And you're right, like Evil, each episode of Evil felt like a film. You know, like they played with camera angles, they played with shadow, they played with color. And Welcome to Derry doesn't. I feel Welcome to Derry is kind of flat. Like even the daytime, it just looks a little musky. I don't know. It just, yeah.
You know what it is? With Welcome to Derry, which shows like One Piece, with a lot of streaming fare, even the HBO stuff, it feels like there are filters applied. And so Welcome to Derry feels like there is a color palette that has been applied to the show in post-production. Meanwhile, with The West Wing, it feels like there was a conscious decision on the part of the director and the DOP to shoot it in this way.
I just thought of something. Welcome to Derry and Knights of the... What's it called? The Game of Thrones, the newest...
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Have the same color palette.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and it's just like...
It's an old-timey color palette.
Yeah, but it's completely different setting.
Yes.
Why does it have the same fucking color palette? That makes no fucking sense. It's the HBO color palette.
Yeah, and my problem with that is it's boring. It makes it visually boring. Yeah. A lot of these shows, like I said, Welcome to Derry was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, also great. But visually, not exciting.
Yeah.
Dialogue, direction, performances, all of that's good. But visually, I was incredibly bored because it's all either blue or hazy or old timey.
We're not even asking for like bright Manchester United red. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even talking about pops of color. It's just the palette is shades of gray. Like, sure, they're blue and green, but also very muted blue and green.
Yeah, which is disappointing. And yeah, it was just, we've had a bee in our bonnet about this for a very long time. Whenever a show does something interesting visually, it truly stands out. Not just in cinemas, with Project Hail Mary, for example, in Wuthering Heights, where that was executed incredibly well, but also, and more so, on TV, when it used to be like that back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I think that's what we find quite disappointing, that a lot of that is lost. But that said, it brings us to our first review, Maul Shadow Lord, which is the new animated series centered around Darth Maul on Disney Plus. And I have to say, this thing is stunning. Like the animation, I have truly loved the evolution of Star Wars animated projects because they've not changed the style. So there is a sense of continuity with the look of how the characters appear. And I think that's intentional because obviously they can change the style because animation has evolved in such a drastic way since the first season of the Clone Wars. But I think that's an intentional choice to keep things within canon with a visual style. But they've changed and they've evolved the look of that animation style. And Darth Maul Shadow Lord looks amazing. There is this painted quality to the backgrounds. The action sequences also have this little painterly thing going on when he's got his double lightsaber going. And man, like visually, this thing is amazing. It is also not afraid of the dark. There are sequences that are specifically, I mean, you call the show Shadow Lord. There are sequences that are specifically in shadow. It is all about the Star Wars underworld. So to have it all brightly lit would be pretty stupid. But man, I've only seen 2 episodes of this. We didn't get advanced screeners for this. But so far, I am totally invested in this show. It is also a side of the Star Wars universe that I have never seen before.
It's weird because I don't know why I don't like it. Just doesn't like click for me. In my brain, it just doesn't click at all. Like, I remember seeing the trailers when we were in Japan. And I remember when they dropped the trailers and I was excited. I was like, man, that looks good. And I sat down for the first episode and I agree with you. Like, it looks amazing. When Darth Maul shows up, I'm like, oh, cool, it's Darth Maul. Don't care. You know, it's just, I really don't care. I don't know why. I think the problem is because my last interaction with Darth Maul is when he gets chopped in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi and he drops down and I don't give a shit.
No. Your last interaction is at the post credits of Solo.
Was he in the post credits of Solo? I hated
Remember,
that film.
he shows up.
No, I really don't.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
you
dude,
really
I've got
wiped that
zero.
movie out of your brain, lah.
I wiped that
And-
fucking movie out of my brain.
We watched it twice, bhai.
Fuck, did we watch that movie twice?
I remember us watching it once in Wanutama during the press screening, and we were annoyed because the IMAX screen was too dark. And so we went and watched it again at Velocity.
Oh,
I think it was Velocity, which had a newer IMAX screen, so we watched it for a second time.
and it was still bad. So for me, Maul is nothing. I know there was a whole thing about him coming back in the cartoon. Like, I don't have any connection, recollection, link to any of that.
So here's the thing about Maul, which I think
Sure.
makes him one of the most fascinating characters in modern Star Wars, which is, yes, we've seen him get killed by Obi-Wan after he murders Qui-Gon. And then when he comes back in the animated shows, his evolution is very interesting because from a Sith Lord, he kind of grows into other things because he kind of spends that time discovering who he is as a Jedi and Sith. And then his character evolves into all of this underworld dealings where he becomes this glorified mob boss. And so it's a very interesting arc for a Jedi slash Sith. And he's actually changed because he too realizes that maybe this whole Empire thing was a bad idea. And so it's a very interesting evolution for the character who is actually incredibly two-dimensional when we see him in the prequels because he served no real purpose except to be Darth Sidious's henchman.
Yeah, even that he's not really, right? Because he doesn't even do any henchmaning. He chases Anakin across the desert a couple times. He has that big fight. He kills Qui-Gon, then immediately dies from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Exactly. He's got a cool dual lightsaber which sold a lot of toys and an incredible piece of music, Duel of the Fates.
I probably will keep watching this only because it looks like Maul will remain a villain.
Oh yes, he's not suddenly going to become a good guy, I don't think.
And that's, I think, why I'm curious. Like, because I'm curious to see how, even The Sopranos, he's a villain, but he's not really a villain. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, man. Even with The Sopranos, I think we are made to like him, but he's a fucking asshole. Like, I think if we knew a Tony Soprano in real life, we'd be like, that guy needs to be killed or in jail forever.
No, I know, but like, and I agree with you. I'm not saying that Tony Soprano sort of like becomes a good guy, but he is a mob boss, but also a man going through mental health issues, also going through problems with his wife, also trying to be a parent to his two children and trying not to murder his god-awful mother. But he's not Darth Maul. Like, for me, even a guy who doesn't know anything about Darth Maul other than the one interaction I had with him feels like, oh, this guy's a bad guy. He's a villain. And how are you going to build maybe 2-3 seasons of a show when the show is named after the villain?
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Like, I love Wagner Moura, and that helps me continue watching. I love Richard Ayoade. I don't know why he's a robot with no personality, but sure. Yeah, I think I'm curious to see how they tell a story ostensibly for children about a villain.
I'm also excited because, like I said, it's a side of Star Wars that I haven't seen before. I want them to explore these bits. This feels like it skews closer towards Andor than the other stuff. It's the everyday people and how they're operating within the confines of Empire, right? And I think that's cool, which is why I'm excited about Starfighter. I mean, the press line on that is to keep pushing the idea that it's a complete standalone, has nothing to do with all of the other Star Wars. And if that is truly the case, then I am genuinely excited for that movie because it'll show me other things in Star Wars. I hope they stick with that. Yeah, and so I'm on board with Maul. The first 2 episodes are very exciting. Like you said, the voice cast is incredible. I think Sam Witwer does an amazing job. And did you see that's what happened originally, right? Because originally the voice of Maul, Peter Serafinowicz, was the voice of Maul in Star Wars Episode 1. And they got him to re-record the voice for Solo. Because they were like, oh, we're doing a post-credit scene, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out he wasn't invited to the premiere. And his agent was like, oh, sorry, they had to cut you because they went with Sam Witwer, who's been doing all of the animated stuff, and they wanted to maintain continuity.
Oh, I see. Well, that sucks.
It does. But I have to say, I love Sam Witwer in this role. One, I've heard so many interviews with him, and he feels like he's truly committed to this character. I don't know a single person who loves this character more than him. And also, an actor who genuinely seems to know every fucking piece of lore about Episode 1, the prequels, Star Wars, Lucas. Like, he is on board. And so I feel that comes across in the performance, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm totally on board with Maul, Shadow Lord. First 2 episodes were a lot of fun. I think even if you haven't seen any of the animation, you can get into this because it feels very standalone. They're not dropping references to, like, Rebels. It isn't like watching Ahsoka where after a while you're like, wait a minute, if I haven't seen episodes this, and this, I have no idea what's going on, right?
For me, the only thing that would require some Wikipedia research is how he's fucking alive and not in two pieces.
Correct. That's the only thing.
Because, last time most people saw him, he was in two, falling down an elevator shaft or whatever.
Yeah. True,
yeah.
true.
So, yeah, there's that. No, I agree with you. I think if anything, I think just for the art style, I think it's gorgeous. A lot of the work done is very, very good. Yeah, I just want to see more. I just want to know what else is going on before I can commit to the fandom, I think.
I get that. We'll revisit this after the season is over, and we'll see if you are interested enough to watch a season 2 if there is one.
Sure, yes.
Because God knows, after Picard season 1, you fell off hard. And I don't blame you. I fell off
hard.
I don't blame you, because that thing only recovered in season 3.
Yeah, sorry.
Where even the writers of season 3 pretended like season 1 and 2 didn't happen.
Doctor Who, I don't have any brand love for Doctor Who, so when Capaldi left and Jodie Whittaker came on board, just weird writing, fell off hard. Disco, Star Trek Discovery, fell off hard. Picard,
to be fair, those weren't great.
Hard.
I can understand why you fell off hard. Disco wasn't great. Season 1 was good, and then it just went meh.
That's kind of the problem, right? Same with Doctor Who. I loved what Peter Capaldi was doing with Doctor Who, and then Jodie Whittaker comes on board. Again, nothing for Jodie Whittaker. It's just the writers took it in a really weird direction that I was not on board with. And I'm just like, no, I'm out.
Maul Shadow Lord, check it out on Disney Plus. Let us know what you think. Season 3 of Shrinking just wrapped on Apple TV. We were waiting until all episodes dropped before we gave you our review. Yes, we still fucking love the show. It is brilliant. But I have to say, I think season 3 is the strongest of the lot because it feels like the end of an arc. There is going to be a season 4. But season 3 wraps up the story that began in season 1. And I feel like these 11 episodes are really cleverly structured in how they deal with every character's arc. It isn't one of those things where they're just fucking about until episode 9 and 10 and then feel like they have to wrap everything up. This feels almost novel-esque. And what was really fascinating to me was that the opening episode, which is like a double episode, it's like an hour long, feels like a season finale. It feels like the episode you would have at the end of a season. But in this case, it is used to kickstart the conflict that drives season 3, which I think is very clever.
Even then, in season 3, they introduced a new Gabby's client.
Oh, yes.
And what happens to her? I was shocked. I was like, wait, really? They did that to her? And in a really sort of weird way, because you need to get Gabby there. I think as an emotional beat, you needed what happens to her client, her patient, to get Gabby to that point where we can get at the end of the series, right?
But I think that's what's interesting about Shrinking, and maybe a lot of Bill Lawrence shows, in that they never shy away from the hard stuff. Yes, it's a sitcom, and there are very funny moments, and there are comedic lines and characters doing silly things, but they always approach things like death, loss, grief, trauma with real seriousness.
Mm.
And I think that's what's interesting. For me, I think the storyline involving Brett Goldstein's character, the drunk driver who ends up killing Jimmy's wife, I think it's a really interesting approach to that character. I know a lot of people online were talking about, oh, how are they so friendly with him towards the end? And I'm like, well, then I feel if you think that way, you've misunderstood who these characters are from season 1.
Yeah.
Because these characters are built up to be exactly the kind of people who will end up in that space. Whether it's Jimmying his therapy sessions, or even the way his daughter deals with grief, both of these characters were set up. And that's why you have Gabby, who is the only one there who cannot forgive him for what he's done.
Yeah. Yep.
And that too makes perfect sense because she is set up as that character. And that's why when the thing that happens to her patient happens, it also makes for an interesting dynamic and how her character grows from there. It's really, really good stuff.
I think if you were one of those people that think that Jimmy and his daughter shouldn't be friends with Louis, I think the problem is you haven't watched the show. I think you're almost watching it on TikTok, like if you take it out of context, if you take it like that moment where Louis is with them at Tia's grave and they're celebrating the birthday. If you saw that in a TikTok clip, you're like, this show is bullshit because if that happened to me, I would never be friends with that guy. Sure, but you've also missed 10 episodes in season 2 where everybody gets to this point. Like for me, that was important. Season 2, Jimmy learning to forgive Louis is important. That was the point of season 2.
Yeah, that was the only way he can grow and move on.
That is the only way he can get to the final scene in season 3.
Yes.
Right? It's that growth. And I think if you are one of those people that think that that shouldn't have happened, if you think that that's bad writing for just sitcom's sake, then you've missed 2 seasons of a show and you don't know what you're talking about. Really. You know what it is? Bill Lawrence treats the the careers on his shows as serious things. They're not. Scrubs is not just about a bunch of doctors having fuckabouts, right? Shrinking isn't about a bunch of therapists having a fuckabout. The therapy is the B plot of the show. The therapy is sometimes even the A plot. And it's not the therapy between Jimmy, the therapist, and his clients. It's about Jimmy and Paul being therapists for each other. So I think that's what's important. It's not fucking Grey's Anatomy, where they're just a bunch of people who happen to be doctors who sometimes do doctor-like things.
But it's mostly about the soap opera stuff.
It's mostly about the soap operas. Yeah. I think Bill Lawrence does that very, very well.
The MVP of the series remains Harrison Ford. I think this is some of the best acting he has done in his career. I am amazed that they still haven't given him an Emmy for it, and they really fucking should, at least for this season.
I think they might give it for him for this season.
He is absolutely phenomenal. There are a bunch of great guest stars this season, including Kobe Smulders, which is a great How I Met Your Mother reunion. She was there in the previous season, but this one she has a more established character and she comes back as a recurring guest star, and she has a proper role to play. Also, Michael J. Fox has a few cameos, also because Paul's character is loosely based on him with the Parkinson's. And actually, the speech that Paul gives at the end of season 2 during Thanksgiving was actually based on the speech that Michael J. Fox gave before he quit Spin City.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's the real life speech he gave on set.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck Parkinson's. Sorry.
Yeah, fuck Parkinson's. Exactly.
I forgot to say that earlier. Yeah.
I love the show. I'm so happy it's coming back for season 4. It was supposed to be like Ted Lasso, a 3-season thing. And apparently Bill Lawrence has said it's coming back for season 4. All the same cast are back, but there may be a time jump, and you'll understand why. Because season 3 really feels like a finale, and everything gets wrapped up really, really well. And there will be a time jump, and I think it'll take on a different arc, which I am also looking forward to. It is just a phenomenal show, one of the strongest things on TV. You have to watch this. What's not so brilliant, however, is this new movie on Hulu / Disney Plus, which I was genuinely excited for because it has 2 of my favorite people in it. It's got Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things, who is, I think, my favorite actor from Stranger Things.
Absolutely.
And it has Sean Giambroni, who was in The Goldbergs, which is a super underrated sitcom. I say underrated. It ran for many, many seasons, but I don't think many people in Malaysia watched it. But it is an absolutely fantastic sitcom because it felt a lot like my own childhood. And it's just deeply steeped in pop culture and film and all of this stuff. And yeah, it was really, really good. And both of them are the leads of this show. It's called Pizza Movie. And it just dropped on Disney Plus. And I was excited because I am a big fan of the teen comedy, the stoner comedy. And we had some great ones when Bahir and I were growing up. And I'm watching this, And it feels like we've forgotten how to make a good teen coming of age comedy. This one had all the right elements in place. Essentially, it's about these two best friends and they discover a stash of drugs, like really old drugs, and they take it. And it has a series of weird side effects that's explained to them in a YouTube video. And they have to navigate this movie in search for pizza because that's the one thing, the carbs and the cheese and the wheat, that's going to counteract the effect of this drug. And so you have this 90 odd minute case of hijinks, right? And we've seen it many, many times before. But somehow the execution for this just fell flat. I think I laughed once, maybe.
Oh, wow. Did you?
But for the most part, I was just very disappointed at how they didn't take advantage of all of the little crumbs that they dropped. Like, I'm watching it going, oh, this is gonna be funny. Like, they dropped this crumb, they set out these rules, this is gonna be great, and then...
I got angrier as the movie went on. I got angriest when there was a... Trying to avoid spoilers here, but when there was a weird meta teleportation thing happening.
That was really weird.
It just felt fucking stupid. It felt like, what the fuck are you doing? It felt like they wrote themselves into a hole, and to get out of it, they do this one thing that has no real bearing that point on. And I really lost my shit at that point.
And you know what's really frustrating? Both Gaten Matarazzo and Sean Jambroni are incredibly charming actors and they have great chemistry together. You don't have to do much. And yet, unlike Superbad, for example, where within minutes you are already in love with these losers. Like, there is a charm that those characters exude, which has less to do with Jonah Hill and more to do with the writing. And I think that's what this one lacks. Like, the movie fails to get you invested in these characters and root for them.
I was going to use the word care because I don't care. And it's not even that they were not nice people. It's just that none of the story made me care about anything. You know why I was angry? Because it felt like someone gave them money and they just whipped up some shit. It almost felt like they weren't taking it seriously. This was just some silly, fun time.
First of all, when you set up the rules, and there are rules that are set up, the YouTube video that they watch goes, hey, these are the X number of things that are going to happen. These are the side effects that are going to kick in once you've taken these drugs. And then, of course, we've got giant words on the screen, right? That remind us of what these side effects are. You have to lean into those things and have them drive the story forward. Here, these side effects feel like interesting pointers for an improv sketch. That's all it is. None of them actually drive the point, the story, the relationship forward. It doesn't feel like it's doing that. And then the second thing, which is the most important thing in any teen comedy, whether it's Can't Hardly Wait or Superbad, or you don't even have to be teen comedy, even if it's Romeo and Michelle, right? There needs to be the quest. And in this one, the quest is pizza. We gotta find a fucking pizza. Harold and Kumar have to get to fucking White Castle. There is a clear, defined quest, and they don't lean into it.
My problem with that is Harold and Kumar don't know where they're going to get their White Castle. Okay? Here, they know. The pizza's
It's right there.
downstairs, 2 floors down from their dorm.
And even then, you can have so much fun with the fact that they're high as kites and can't make their way down 2 floors, but none of it feels fun. And also, it's like, for most of the movie, they forget that they have to get pizza. It should just be pizza, 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 pizza all the time. Just like how it was, I want the fucking White Castle.
Yeah, And I think that's the problem, right? It's almost like the writers forgot what the point of this movie was. When they laid out the 5, 6 stages or whatever that they'll go through, some stages are nice and long and nice and funny. Some stages are damn short because it's really stupid and they couldn't come up with any jokes for it.
Yeah,
That fucking bugged me.
it
Right?
did.
If you've set these rules out, at stage 1 you do this, stage 2 you only tell the truth, whatever. You have to play it out. It can't be 4 lines back and forth where they're just telling the truth, then suddenly they can lie again. What? It's just like, what? That's what bugged me. It's like the rules they've set out, even they are not following. And that's just bullshit. I was really pissed off at this movie because it really feels like a waste. The 2 leads are fun together. They've got great chemistry. I don't know why they needed a third that they tried to force in constantly. And then you just keep forgetting the rules you just told us about. Okay, sorry, not forgetting, but you, the writer, are not respecting the rules that you're setting out. You tell me that they're going for pizza and you put the stupidest, dumbest fucking things in your way. But then even then, half the time you forget that they're going for pizza.
Yeah, you don't utilize those rules in any meaningful way. The rules should have been written on a whiteboard in the writer's room, and every story device, every narrative point should have been driven by those rules. Like the comedy should have just been based around that thing, right?
Yeah, it's how do I get to pizza? How do I get through or avoid stage 4 of highness?
I mean, for a 90-odd minute movie, it felt long. It felt
fucking
really,
ages.
really
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's something lost. I feel like the art of a great teen comedy, a great teen coming of age story is somehow like I haven't seen a good one in a very long time.
You know what it is? It's that cycle of, we've been talking about the good teen comedies, right? Can't Hardly Wait, 10 Things I Hate About You, Super Bad, Harold and Kumar. Those are really good. But the prior group, the Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds and all that, this feels like a Revenge of the Nerds where it really doesn't have a moral at the heart of it. But at least those were funny.
Yeah, you say that, but the Revenge of the Nerds movies weren't afraid to go places. They weren't afraid to push the envelope.
I love Revenge of the Nerds, but it was a shallow movie meant really to show girls' boobs.
Correct.
Half the time,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
But it was funny. The story was funny. The situations they found themselves were funny. This isn't any of that. It's got no heart. It's not funny. It's ignoring the rules it sets out for itself. It's just there.
But yeah, I go back to the ones that I loved. I mean, even the American Pie movies before they spun off to like 10 different American Pie direct-to-video movies. But the first one in itself was incredibly funny and just very vulgar, but never lost sight of its heart. And I think that's what makes these movies really, really work. It's unfortunate. I was very excited about Pizza Movie because it really looked like a throwback. It really looked old school. But, what can you do, eh? What can you do? Pizza Movie, Maul, Shadow Lord are both on Disney+. Shrinking is available to watch on Apple TV. Check out The West Wing, X-Files. If you want to experience what great lighting was like on television, watch those, and I swear to God, you will be very judgy about all modern TV. Send us your thoughts. You know how to reach out. We're on Instagram on GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.